Here's a fact of life. You don't know the pain of shipping until you've shipped comic book pairings. This is nothing but pure truth. Hi everybody, Carla here. Last Sunday, I finally got the chance to watch the latest DC animated movie, Teen Titans: The Judas Contract. And here's the thing, you've heard me say tons of times that I'm not really a DC kind of girl, I'm more of a Marvel person, right? That's not to say that I don't like DC at all. I like some of the characters and some of the properties that DC has. I like Wonder Woman, I like especially the team-ups, I like the Justice League. But my number one DC property that I love to death is the Teen Titans. Which, honestly, taking into account my love of YA, kind of makes sense, I guess. So I was really happy to finally get the chance to watch the Judas Contract movie. Also, I'm kind of in a happy mood because DC finally announced this week that they are finally going through with this Teen Titans TV show that they've been hinting at for a long while. And as a fan of the Teen Titans, I've been waiting for Titans anything for years. The animated show was great, all the adaptations have been pretty good, but I want something live action. And at least now that there's the possibility of a TV show, I can maybe sorta kinda hope that in the future that they will make a movie, because that would be my ultimate goal. Live action Teen Titans movie, I would love that. Please DC, hear my prayer. But they just announced that they're finally going to premiere a Teen Titans TV show on 2018, so that made me pretty happy until I realized that they are premiering this thing in their new digital exclusive streaming channel whatnot that you have to pay extra for to get, which is bullshit. And I am so tired that all the networks want to get into the whole digital thing by creating their own digital service. Dude, I have no money to pay for this many digital streaming services. Can you not just make an arrangement with Netflix and get it done that way? Please. There is no way that I can pay for this much stuff, so I'm not paying for this new DC thing anymore. I'm sorry. I will find a way to watch this stupid Titan show, but either way, I'm happy that it's at least happening, that I at least have something Teen Titans to look forward to. And on top of that, I watched the Judas Contract movie this Sunday, which I was a little hesitant about because I know that the previous DC adaptations haven't really been received well by the critics or the fans. So I was nervous about this. I'm happy to report that the movie's actually pretty darn good. So I'm really happy, and I am in a Teen Titans hype. And what I really love about the Teen Titans too is that they remind me of what I like in comics, and that is just the relationships between characters, the bonds that they form, the friendships that they form, and of course the romance that they form too. Because I have quite a few OTPs that are from the Teen Titans series. So because of all of that, I decided this week I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite topics in all the world, and that is shipping. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to list my top 10 ships from comic book properties. This can be comic book proper, or it can be the adaptations of comic books too. But most of them I like from the comics because my love for these pairings kind of extends to the adaptation. So if I really love a ship in the comics, I'm going to really love it in all the adaptations as well, even if it doesn't happen. So there's that caveat, but it's not really a caveat, I guess. Another thing that I do have to say is that because these things run for such a long time, they've been running since, some of them since the 40s, you have to kind of get used to the idea that they can't just keep things the same for so many decades. So they have to switch things up a little, and when it comes to relationships, a lot of that has to do with breaking up and getting back together and dating a bunch of people. If you think about it, if you think about comic book characters, they really look like they've been around the block, like all of them. They've dated so many people. But that's not necessarily because they're, you know, serial daters or anything, but more like comics run for so long that they need to change things up. And that involves, you know, getting together with this person and breaking up, then getting together with that person and breaking up, because you have to keep them changing, right? So many of these couples are not currently canon, I guess. Some of them may not ever be canon again. Some of them are not canon, have never been canon. It doesn't really affect me. For me, whenever you think about a comic book character, there's that one pairing that sort of stands out above all the others. Usually the first one, not necessarily. So I get attached to some of these pairings, and even though they end up, you know, breaking up but still being friends most of the time, I still feel like that's my OTP, you know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Don't tell me, oh, they broke up, you can't ship them anymore. That's just not how it works, okay? I ship what I feel like shipping. I ship the pairings that I find myself attached to. So that's not gonna change regardless of what happens in the actual comics. Most of these have broken up by now. It doesn't mean that I don't love them anymore, so keep that in mind. With that said, I'm gonna start with number 10. Number 10 is Roy Harper, aka Speedy or Arsenal, or however you want to call him, and Donna Troy, aka Wonder Girl or Troya, or whatever you want to call her. This thing with the codenames is so ridiculous. Roy and Donna I love because they feel like such a normal teenage couple, I guess. They started with a little flirtation here and there, and then they went on a date, and then, you know, you kind of see the relationship more in the background. It's like, oh, here's a hint here, a hint there. It's only when they grow up that they actually get into a relationship, and of course they break up eventually because of everything that I just said about that. I think they were good for each other. I don't know, I love their interactions. They seem to know each other so well, and they just seem to be having so much fun, you know what I mean? There was really not that much drama between them, even though they had drama individually. When they were going out officially, they were just going out. It was just a thing that was happening. There's a certain refreshing feeling to that, I guess. So that's why they make my list, and that's number 10. Number 9, because of course I'm not making this list just for DC, and I'm still a Marvel girl, and you will see other pairings from DC, but I also like pairings from Marvel, as I'm sure you know already. So number 9 is Warren Worthington III and Betsy Braddock, Angel and Psylocke, or Archangel and Psylocke, or however you want to call them. If Roy and Donna were, the more laid-back type of couple, the more normal type of couple, Warren and Betsy are the world is against us kind of couple, because they've gone through so much crap. It's ridiculous. If it's not Angel becoming Archangel, it's, Betsy going from this blonde, blue-eyed little British girl to becoming a Japanese ninja, and it's like really freaking crazy. They have gone through so much crap. Of course, this is partly why I like them as well, because I think when people go through very difficult things together, there's a bond there, and they managed to stay together for a long time. I guess now they have more of a separate thing, depending on which continuity you're looking at. They have more of they're going more about their separate lives, I guess. But I really liked them when they were together, because they seemed to be each other's safe place in a sense, but independent of all the crap the world was throwing at them. They had each other, and that was kind of a comfort for them and for me as a fan. So drama with these two, but you could definitely see that they loved each other, and for me they'll always be each other's main pairing, really. There's nobody else that I would ship them with, I don't think. Number 8 are Reed Richards and Sue Richards. I don't know, you've probably heard me say this before as well, but Fantastic Four is my second favorite comic book property of all time, right after the X-Men. And what I like about the Fantastic Four the most is that they are a family. Lots of other properties talk about them being family, and while I love that as well, it's cool that the Fantastic Four are actual family. Like, they are a mom, a dad, a brother, and a best friend, and it's an actual, and kids, and it's an actual family. And Reed and Sue have the distinction in this list of being the first and only pairing in this list that I actually got to know when they were already married. A lot of these pairings eventually get married, but Sue and Reed, I was introduced to them as husband and wife. So it's really interesting that even though the writers have thrown so many things at them through the years, this concept that they are husband and wife and they are sort of Marvel's first husband and wife team, and the Fantastic Four are Marvel's first family team. It's different, it's interesting, because their relationship is more about how to sustain a healthy relationship and how to support each other as a family, rather than, oh, we're getting to know each other, we're dating, still testing the waters. No, they're married, they're in. This is, they're in too deep with this thing. There's no lifeboat, you know what I mean? There's no quick exit. They are married, they're a family, and it's really interesting to see. And of course, then later on they have to deal with this whole issue of having a child that can destroy reality, and indeed has done it a couple of times already, at least, I'm sure. It's kind of crazy. Like, the Fantastic Four is a really crazy freaking property in a good way, because so many things that you never thought could happen in a more realistic comic book property do happen in the Fantastic Four, and Reed and Sue have to deal with it. But then again, because the Fantastic Four are a family, they are sort of the core of that family. Without Reed and Sue and their marriage, the bond that they have and the commitment to each other and to their family that they have, the Fantastic Four would not exist. They're the heart of the Fantastic Four. Their relationship is the heart of the Fantastic Four, and that to me is amazing. Will always be amazing. Number 7, going back to DC, is Wally West, aka Flash, and Linda Park. Now, it's funny because if you ask just about anybody out there what their favorite pairing is, where you have a dude with superpowers and a journalist, most people will jump to Lois and Clark, you know, Superman and Lois Lane. I might be the only person in the world whose mind immediately goes to Wally and Linda, because I love Wally and Linda so much. They're such a great pairing. They're sort of what I wanted Lois and Clark to be, and right now I can't stand Lois and Clark. It's very difficult for me to like them because they've always been there. It's one of those things where, you know, it's almost too romanticized in a sense. Like, I already know you're together. You know, I don't need to see 7,000 ways for you to get together and break up and get back together again and break up and get back together again. So I've always found Lois and Clark a little bit grating, but Wally and Linda I love. And Wally and Linda I love because of the way that they complement each other, because Wally is a bit of a serial dater. He's a bit of a ladies' man. He went out with a lot of women in his run as Flash. He's a bit relaxed. He doesn't take things too seriously whatsoever. And then you have Linda, who's like the overachiever, the one who's focused on her job, who's determined. And I like the way that they complement each other, because then Wally helps Linda sort of relax a little, and then Linda helps Wally like take things a little bit more seriously. And I really love that. I love their relationship. I love that they've gone through so many of the stages of the relationship until marriage, you know, and kids. It's kind of a nice full story for them, and I enjoy that. Number 6 is Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, and Jean Grey from X-Men. So back to Marvel again. Jean and Scott, I know a lot of people just sort of turn their nose down at them because they have the Lois and Clark factor. you know, of there being so much drama and so much back and forth and so many different ways that we've seen them get together, that it gets kind of stale, it gets kind of repetitive to just always assume that whenever the two of them are together, they're gonna be together. They're gonna be a couple. And I understand that. I feel that way too, but I think they have their moments, you know, because I think some of the different ways that they've been portrayed in different adaptations actually make it a little bit more refreshing, actually make me root for them a little bit. For example, I loved their take on X-Men Evolution, you know, the way that they actually got them together there. I loved their take in the movies as well. I was rooting for them, and now that we're going to start seeing them all over again with these new movies with the younger cast, I'm looking forward to seeing what they make of the relationship. So even though reading the comics, yeah, it does get a little grating at times. It's like, oh, there's Jean and Scott again. I think the adaptations do a sufficiently good job of keeping me interested and still rooting for them, even though I'm not like reading Jean and Scott fanfic all over the place or writing Jean and Scott fanfic. I still find myself wanting them to be an item in pretty much any adaptation that I read. Plus, I really, really hate Emma Frost. Just saying. Number 5 is actually Dick Grayson, aka Robin, aka Nightwing, and Koriand'r, aka Starfire. The big Teen Titans pairing, I guess. I know a lot of people out there prefer Dick with Barbara, with Batgirl, but for me, relationships between the Bat family have always felt a little bit incestuous to me. I know they're not actual incest. Don't write angry comments at me telling me that they're not actually related. I know. It just feels like they work better off as family than as romantically involved. So I've never been into the Barbara Gordon thing at all. And because I love Teen Titans so much, and Dick and Cory are the main couple in Teen Titans, I can't help but love them. I like, again, the way that they go through the stages of the relationship. For example, I was just watching the Judas Contract last weekend, and they're moving along. Like, they've been together for a while, now they're moving in together. I really, really enjoy just seeing them being together because they're so different, and Dick is so moody and serious, and Cory is like really sweet and innocent and naive, and she doesn't understand a lot of things of Earth, and it's just so cute to see them try to understand each other's point of view because they see things so differently, and it's just, I really like them on their own, not just because they're the main pairing of Teen Titans, but just because the way they interact with each other and the way their relationship progresses is really interesting to me, and it's really sweet to watch. Number 4 is Julian Keller, aka Helion, and Laura Kinney, aka X-23. You have heard me talk about how much I love Laura over and over again by now, because I've had many videos about this uploaded to my channel. I just love Laura. I love X-23. I think she is such an incredibly interesting character on her own. And I think what I like the most about Julian and Laura as a couple is that Julian is sort of kind of terrified of Laura, but at the same time he's attracted to her, and it's interesting because he's not terrified of Laura for himself. It's not like this is one of those couples that is a metaphor for domestic abuse or anything. He doesn't think that Laura's going to do anything to him, but the things she can do, the things she has done because of her training as an assassin, or because of her inherent feral mutant abilities, way of being. I mean, Laura's been through such a traumatic childhood. She was raised as an assassin. She's got to sort of fight her own feral instincts all the time, and sometimes she can't control it. And Julian has seen that firsthand, and it terrifies him, but at the same time he really wants to help her. I think in this case, unlike in the case of those relationships that are sort of metaphors for spousal abuse and just marked clearly that this is not an okay relationship, sort of like a Joker Harley Quinn thing that the comics never really portray as a good thing. Julian and Laura are more of an example of how having someone, a special someone in your life, can actually make you want to do better and make you want to control those feelings. For example, for Laura, those feelings of being feral, or that feeling of people's lives being disposable that she sometimes has because of her upbringing. But she knows that Julian expects better of her. Wanting to be with Julian implies that she also wants to control those things. And I think that's very interesting. Laura is a character that you have to sort of be terrified by, and you have to sort of feel pity for, but at the same time there's so much strength in her and so much of a desire to change and so much of a desire to be a better person that I think is very much exemplified in her relationship with Julian. And I find it very interesting just to read through what they go on, because there's that undeniable attraction to each other, but at the same time that dangerous component in there that makes it all more interesting as a reader. Now, number 3 is Garfield Logan, aka Beast Boy, and Raven. Now this one you can completely blame on the Teen Titans cartoon, because I hadn't really put together the fact that these two could actually be a thing. I mean, Gar kind of flirts with anything that walks in front of him. I never took it seriously, not really, but then I watched the cartoon and I started loving them in the cartoon. I thought it was so cute, and I love how different they are from each other. I love how Raven is like really dark and moody and broody and serious, and Gar is like the jokester and the flirter, and both of them are sort of using that as a defense mechanism in a sense. Like Gar puts up a shield really with humor, a humor shield, so that he doesn't get hurt. If you don't take things too seriously, things can't hurt you. And Raven, on the other hand, just isolates herself from people. But I thought it was interesting that they're similar in that sense, but then they're very different in their approach of it. And I really enjoyed them in the cartoon. And then, like, literally 2 days or something after I watched the last episode of the cartoon, I got curious. I'm like, I'm gonna see if there are any hints about this pairing in the comics, because I never really put 2 and 2 together before. So I googled them, and I find out that like the last issue, the previous issue of the Teen Titans or something, had the 2 of them getting together. This is fate. Obviously, the universe is trying to tell me that I should ship these 2, and I've been a shipper from that point on. I really love them as a pairing. I hope we get to see a little bit more of that in the animated adaptations as well, because of course the Judas Contract was all about Tara, and I don't particularly like Gar and Tara, but I hope we get to see a bit more, because we never got to see a lot of Raven. There was a little bit of her, but not enough, and I want more of that maybe in the future if they keep adapting the Teen Titans storylines. So fingers crossed for that. I really want to see Gar and Raven actually get together in animation. That would be awesome. That would be really cool. Number 2 is, of course, Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit, and Anna Marie, aka Rogue. These 2, I mean, Remy is my favorite character in comic books of all time. I love Remy so much. And his relationship with Rogue has been such a beauty from day one. I loved how he kept trying to get her to open up to him, but of course Rogue, because of her mutation, she just pushes away from people because she doesn't want to hurt anybody. And of course she knows that she can't have a full relationship with a person because there can't be any physical component, because of course she doesn't want to kill him, right? And she keeps pushing Remy away, but he keeps trying. And of course, don't do this in real life. If a girl tells you to buzz off, you just buzz off. But I think in this case, because the comics are a window into these characters' minds, we could see that Rogue, even though she was pushing him away, it was a half-hearted thing because she did have feelings for him, she just didn't want to hurt him. We can see this as readers, and because of that it makes me really happy that Remy kept trying and kept trying and kept flirting and kept asking her out, and eventually they found ways to be together, whether it be, you know, like the inhibitor colors or stuff. Eventually they were able to become a couple, and of course it's not as easy as, oh, Rogue was cured or anything, but there are ways, there are methods, and what's more important, it's not just the physical, although that is of course important, but it's not the most important thing, and the most important thing for the two of them is that they love each other, and they are pretty much one of the biggest X-Men pairings of all time, I'm sure. It kind of sucks that we never got to see them in the movie adaptations because of, you know, different timelines or whatever. But I'm hoping that now that X-Men Origins Wolverine has pretty much been retconned by Days of Future Past, I'm hoping that we can maybe see a new Rogue, a new Gambit, and maybe see them get together at some point. Who knows? And number 1, which I'm sure you already know if you've seen my previous list of ships that I did a few months ago. My number 1 pairing, number 1, is Kurt Wagner, aka Nightcrawler, and Kitty Pryde, aka Shadowcat. Now, it's funny that my number 1 couple would be the one couple on this list that has never actually happened in the comics. And that frustrates me to no end, because as I keep saying in my disclaimers for my X-Men fanfic, obviously X-Men doesn't belong to me, because if I had a chance to write X-Men, the first thing I would do would be get Kitty and Kurt together. I don't understand how you can go through like decades and decades of storylines for these two and hundreds of alternate universes, and still not one writer has ever thought of getting these two together. Just have them go out once. Give me one date. I'll be happy with one date, okay? But it's like the writers have friend-zoned these two. Like, seriously, it's like, oh no, they're friends. They can't be anything else. And that's not to say that I don't like what they've done with the characters. I don't like Kurt's girlfriends all that much. And Sefton and Cerise and whatnot. I don't really like his girlfriends. I have no problem with Kitty's boyfriends though. I loved Kitty and Colossus. I loved Kitty and Pete Wisdom, especially. I love that period, honestly, of Excalibur. Really one of my favorite comic book runs of all time. And I haven't really read a lot about this new thing she has with Peter Quill, but I like Peter Quill, so why not? I do find it interesting that nobody has ever thought of actually getting her together with Kurt. It really sucks, and I really do mean, what is it that if the guy's not named Peter, she can't date him? Like, seriously? Come on, throw me a bone here, guys. Come on. And it's nice to see them be best friends. I've actually, some of the few comic books in print that I own are issues that deal with Kurt and Kitty and their friendship. For example, when Colossus dies and Kurt comforts her, and when Kitty dies and Kurt is a mess. And those are such great comic book issues because you can see how close they really are to each other. They're best friends. They've always been best friends for decades, and it sucks that nobody will give them a chance to maybe date, and who knows, I mean, they're such great friends, why can't they be a good couple, right? So that's my position on it. If I had a shot at writing Marvel Comics at any point in my life, that would be the first thing I would do, seriously, because I think it's really unfair that nobody has done that, and it really breaks my brain that nobody has thought to get those two together. Even if it's not forever, I'm okay with comic book couples breaking up. I get it. It's not a thing. And Colossus will probably be everybody's favorite Kitty pairing of all time. It's kind of those big OTPs of X-Men, I guess. And I don't mind, but just want them to have the chance. Please. Someone. Just once for me. Please. Pretty please. That's okay, I'll always have fanfiction, I guess. And that has been my top 10 favorite comic book couples of all time. Which ones of these couples do you support? If not these, which ones do you support? Leave a comment and tell me what you think about comic book ships in general. Which ships are your favorites? Which are your OTPs? Just let me know in a comment. Let's start up a discussion. I know shipping is a controversial topic. I do my best to respect all ships, so feel free to tell me which ships you prefer and why. As long as you don't bash my ships, I'm okay with it. And I think that's about it for today. I think next week I probably will talk about Legion because I still haven't finished watching the show, but I'm going out of town this weekend, so maybe then I will have a chance to finish watching Legion. So maybe that. If not, I might just talk about recent X-Men news that have come out about the movies, so maybe that as well. Either way, if you have any idea for any topic that you'd like me to talk about, mostly geeky stuff, be it books, TV, movies, any sort of thing like that, feel free to drop it in a comment. If it's anything that I have any knowledge about, any fandom that I know and I'm a part of, I will make sure to add it to my list of stuff to talk about in the future. In the meantime, you can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlswhoareweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlswhoareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this blog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia. And as always, remember to visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com. All my videos are up there in case you want to catch up with everything I've done in the past. Also, be sure to stop by my Redbubble store. The link is down in the description. In there, I make art from my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, be it TV, books, movies, anything like that. And you can use that art to print merchandise such as t-shirts, coffee cups, computer covers, all sorts of fun, cool stuff that you can print through Redbubble. So please be sure to stop by and maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. It really does help me a lot. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I am always happy to see new subscribers. I love interacting with you guys, so please keep liking, keep sharing, keep commenting. I love talking with you and discussing my favorite topics with you. So please go ahead and keep doing that. And that's about it for me today. I will see you guys next week with another talk from all the way in freaking Narnia. And cut. Bye everybody. Here's a fact of life. You don't know the pain of last week. Also, they look like gay. They sound. If you think about Kim, there's a certain feeling of being the crap the world was throwing if a girl turns